Okay. Well, let's call the meeting of the Board of Public Works to order. First of all, welcome everybody back to City Hall. We haven't been, together in an in-person meeting of the Board of Public Works. I was thinking since February of 2020 was probably the last one. Anyway, so great. We're back. We're meeting in 208 because the city clerk is upstairs waiting for renovations to be finished. But by next month, we should be back upstairs. All right. So first item is the roll call. Diane, could you please call the roll? Or Lisa, who's ever going to do it?
Commissioner Tees?
I'm present. I'm attending telephonically. I'm alone in my house at present. Thank you.
Commissioner Pappas?
Here.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Here.
Commissioner Schoeneman?
Here.
Mayor Donches?
Here. Is there a, we first have the motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Moriarty.
Yes, thank you. I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Discussion? All those in, we need to do a roll call because.
Yes, Commissioner Tees.
Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tees?
I'm very sorry. Yes.
Commissioner Pappas?
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Yes.
Commissioner Schoeneman?
Yes.
Mayor Donches?
Yes, motion passes. Next, we have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 24th meeting. Commissioner Pappas.
I'll move to approve the agenda. I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works Budget Workshop of April 21, 2021.
Any discussion? Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tees?
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas?
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Yes.
Commissioner Schoeneman?
Yes.
Mayor Donches?
Yes, motion passes. Now we have public comment. Now I know we have at least, yes.
We got one
Yeah,
more.
another motion.
One more.
Oh, sorry. We have item 4. That was the regarding the minutes of. I said May 24th on the last motion. I skipped the April one. So let's do. I actually said May 24th on the last motion. So now we have the motion to approve the meeting of April 21. Commissioner Schoen. We took it out of order.
Okay, but Commissioner Pappas read the April 24th.
Oh, she did?
Check
You
it
did?
out.
Oh, okay.
She
Sorry.
lets
Okay.
yeah, but yeah.
I said
yeah.
the 24th.
Are we going in this order or order of how we, what order are we going in here?
I just made an order.
Oh,
I did Commissioner Tees at the end because he's not.
The next one. I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of May 24th, 2021.
Any discussion? Could we please have the roll?
Commissioner Tees?
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas?
yes.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Yes.
Commissioner Schoeneman?
Yes.
Mayor Donches?
Yes. Motion passes. Now we have public comment. I think we may possibly have someone on Zoom, but we do have someone live who would like to tell us, I know, about Ash Street, the Ash Street top lot. So why don't you just come sit right here? And you just introduce yourself, give us your name and your address or your organization.
Okay, so my name is Jennifer Benoit. I live in the Tree Street neighborhood. I also work at National Pal. I've been involved with National Pal since 2010, employed since 2012, and we frequent the Los Amigos Park, where right now there's no electricity or lighting, and I think that we need to get electricity back there for the lights to be on so our community can be safer, come together, and we as a PAL can serve kids in that park.
And when did the lighting go out?
I believe it's been out since last year. We operated our summer program in the park because of the pandemic, so we were only there a couple of hours, but since last year, our neighbors, our parents are complaining that there's a lot of stuff going on that might not otherwise be happening at that park if there was lights.
Okay. Well, we'd be glad to look into that and try to come up with a solution. first we gotta determine the cause. I think there's some suspicion, right? But-
Mayor, I think this has to do with the moratorium.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Okay.
I thought that was the conduit issue.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
within, it's
okay.
within the 5 years.
That's the.
Oh, okay. All right, good, I get it now. So we will be taking up an item that would relate to this then a little bit later in the agenda.
Okay,
But we appreciate your thoughts,
of course.
all right?
And I just had one more thing to address. I don't know where it is in the budget or if it's already in the plan, but we would definitely love to see more security, if you will, on the bike path. Because I'm a bicycle rider and a handicap friend who's in the chair. We would just feel more safer. It's a public throughway. That's how we get to and from where we need to be, where we want to be, and how we enjoy our community. And we would like to feel safer out there.
All right, well, thank you very much for letting us know.
Thank you.
All right. Now, does any, Commissioner Pappas?
I actually have some questions, I think probably more for the director. And it's, because I did see the issue about the conduit in here. And I was curious when I saw that, and related to security cameras in the park, that, I was gonna, ask if we had security cameras in that park. And if we don't have the answer today, the other thing that might be interesting is to see which parks we have security cameras and just something we might want to take a look at.
Sure. We do not, Las Amigas, we don't have any, we don't have security cameras at many parks. We do have, there are security cameras at Greeley Park. There are security cameras at the Holocaust and the skate park. That's about the extent of where we have our security cameras. So, but doesn't mean we couldn't add some in other areas.
And for Greeley, that's probably more for the equipment we have there.
It's actually more, right, it's more for the office than it is for the, for the park, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any working cameras at all along the trail from like here to not just our neighborhood, which would be Ash Street, because that's where our town's located, but even beyond?
I think the answer is no, although we're looking into the cost of following the Lopez's residence. So we're looking into the cost.
Yeah.
Now, now I understand the issue regarding the lighting of Ash Street will come up in the context of on page 2, if you got the agenda.
Yes,
there. Page 2, item number F, the hardship request to excavate in Ash Street. That will relate directly to the ability to light the park.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, any other members of the public want to make public comment that are here?
I don't want to speak for you, but I think I addressed both issues.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody on the remote, online, or on Zoom who would like to address the board? Any public comment? If so, just speak up. I don't see anyone or hear anyone. All right, we'll now move on to the wastewater department. Item A, Commissioner Tees.
Sure, I move to approve the fiscal year 22 purchase of polymer from Polydyne of Riceboro, Georgia, in the amount of $450,000. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, fund wastewater, account classification 61 supplies of materials.
Okay, we've heard the motion. Now is this Boucher
Yes.
on the screen?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. This motion is for the purchase of polymer, which is used in 2 of our processes to aid in the separation of sludge from water. We have different companies that come in and do bench testing and see which polymer works the best for us. Polydyne is our current supplier of polymer. It is a product that works very well at the wastewater facility. We'd like to continue using them, and this cost is our annual estimated costs for the polymer.
Discussion or question? If not, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tees,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes, motion passed. We now have item B, Commissioner Moriarty.
I move to approve the purchase of the chemical sodium hypochlorite in the amount of $150,000 from Borden and Remington of Fall River, Massachusetts. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, fund wastewater, account classification 61 supplies and materials.
Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, let's hear from Mr. Boucher.
Sodium hypochlorite is used at the wastewater facility in a couple different processes. It's used as a disinfection product to disinfect our clean water before it goes into the river. And it's also used in our odor control systems. We purchased this product through the Northeast Merrimack Valley Chemical Consortium, who does all the bidding. Borden and Remington came in as the low bidder. They are our current supplier. We'd like to continue using them. And again, this is the cost, the estimated cost for this fiscal year, or fiscal year 22.
Any questions or comments from anyone? All right, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes, motion passes. We now have item C, Commissioner Pappas.
I'll move to approve the purchase of the chemical sodium bisulfate in the amount of $60,000 from PBS Chemical Solutions. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater fund, wastewater account classification 61 supplies and materials.
Mr. Boucher?
Thank you, Mayor. This is sodium bisulfite is used at the wastewater plant to remove the sodium hypochlorite before it goes to the river. We're not allowed to discharge chemicals into the river. So this is a product that we also purchased through the chemical consortium, so it went out to bid. However, the low bidder is our current supplier. But this past year, we've had a difficult time with them getting deliveries, getting the amount we requested. So we went with the second highest bidder, PVS, which is a company that we used in fiscal year 20. They were a good company to us. It is a penny higher per wet pound. So we'd like to go with them. It's important that we have this product when we need it. We can't run out. So this cost is the estimated cost for fiscal year 22.
Any discussion? Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes, motion passes. We're now on the engineering department. Item A, Commissioner Shum.
I move to approve the residential and commercial wastewater service permits and fees as submitted.
I don't think we need a report from the city engineer. Any questions or discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman, Mayor Donches.
Yes, motion passes. Now we're on item B, Commissioner Tease.
We're on B. Let me just go to the page. I move to approve the award of the construction contract for the 2021 pavement preservation program to Seal Coating Inc. of Braintree, Massachusetts, in an amount of $238,371. Funding through Department 160 Admin/Engineering Fund Bond Activity Paving.
Mr. Hudson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a proposed contract for crack sealing and fog sealing. By the nature of pavement, cracks in the roadways are inevitable. So what this program is it seals those cracks in the pavement surface to avoid water intrusion, which was more detrimental to the pavement and layers below. So this is a maintenance effort to preserve the life of the pavement. Under this program this year, we've typically done crack sealing, but we're looking to add fog sealing as a pilot effort. Where actually a mist fog seal is applied over the whole surface of the roadway, and that rejuvenates the surface of the roadway and seals it. So that's something that we're adding to this toolbox per se for pavement preservation treatments. Under this program, we're expected to seal approximately 23.6 miles roadway this year, and fog seal 1.6 miles. And attached to the agenda was a map of where that work is proposed to occur, as well as a list of streets by the way.
Commissioner Pappas.
I've always been a fan, because I don't think we used to do crack sealing, and I think anything to make our roads last longer is great. But can you just explain the difference between the two programs or the two types of homes?
Under this preservation program?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the crack seal, you just have, a narrow crack, and they band over it with sealant, so, rubberized sealant. The fog seal will be applied by a truck with a sprayer in the back, and that basically coats the whole surface. Kind of wets the surface down per se, but it's with a material that then seals and rejuvenates the surface. Pavement is like lots of things. The sun breaks it down, and what you have is after an initial number of years, the surface ages and begins to crack and kind of loses its plasticity. This treatment rejuvenates that and gains you some additional time. So it's something that we haven't used here much, but we want to try it. It's been used successfully in other communities. We've been and viewed its use in Manchester and other places. So it's something that we'd like to try this year, see how it performs versus just a normal crack seal.
So it's they're done hand in hand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, Commissioner Sherman.
What is the cost difference between crack sealing and fog sealing?
That's a good question. I don't have specific numbers, but the fog sealing does cost more because you're covering the whole surface of the roadway. There is additional cost, but if we see the added lifespan benefit and protection benefit, we believe the cost is worthwhile. Both treatments are, well below any mill and overlay type cost, so this is a preservation method to do, by additional years at a lower cost. So that's the approach, and I'd be happy to share specific costs if anybody wants to go at a later time. We just don't have that.
Be interesting to see the communities that are already doing this, what their results are. They've been doing it for a year or more. They're seeing at least over 1 winter.
Yeah, I believe they've expressed to us that it's beneficial, and of course the supplier, they believe it's beneficial as well. So it's one of these things we're gonna pilot on a couple roads, see how it fares, and probably continue to do it on select roads once we've confirmed for ourselves that it has a good application and works well.
Anyone else?
I have a question. Me being in a wheelchair, it's very detrimental to have the roads done. Because if I end up with a width about that much, my chair's broke. And I'm on SSI. I can't afford to go out and buy a brand new wheelchair. I mean, it's detrimental that you guys do this. I don't care which way it goes, but as long as all of the cracks are done. So I'm not worrying about how I'm gonna get somewhere.
Now, ma'am, technically, we took public comment, and so now we're just with the board. But certainly we're sympathetic and with your comments, and want to do whatever we can to
Thank you.
make transportation.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Hudson.
Sure, just to that point, I don't know if you're talking about like during the process of paving, when we mill, there'd be a drop there during that period of time. But I did want to point out that as part of the paving program this year, we're making a big effort to reconstruct the ramps, the sidewalks. That's something that, will will enable us to make improvements as we go through a paver road. We're trying to do a more complete job about making those transitions more accessible for folks.
Okay.
So it's a renewed area of focus for us. We hope the public finds that, appreciates that going forward.
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty.
Just a comment, now we're talking about paving. When the city comes in, I think the city, or when you cut out a section of the road for repair, it's about a ledge around the whole thing. I fractured my ankle and had to fall walking my dog at night. Didn't see that it was cut, and I just caught it and I broke my ankle. I don't know, why don't we have cones up on those cutouts to,
Was that
Where did this happen?
that happened right on my street.
On, what you're on?
Raymond.
Raymond.
Yeah, I don't know the specific situation, but you were stepping from your, say, driveway into the street, or what was the situation, or where
Well, I
was
was
it?
just walking down the street, but this in front of this one
So
house.
it was a patch?
Yeah, a patch about the size of this table or so, right? Or 2 tables, just that big.
But near the edge of the road or something, I mean, not like in the middle of the road, probably.
This from the curve out.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they do the pavement in the different layers, so like that, I assume that was waiting for the top coat,
Yes.
but I can see how that
There
could
was
be.
enough, about a 2-inch,
Yeah.
and it wasn't, highlighted. I don't know, there was no cones up. I just thought that should be standard,
Yeah,
safety measure.
yeah, I'm not sure if that was us or utility, but at any rate, yeah, that's something that we can have inspectors impress upon more. Clearly, we don't want anybody to have the situation that you had, so, yeah, that's something we can focus on, try to make sure we have warnings for those situations.
Was this Smilkin? Were there people on that? Smilkus? I can't remember the people.
Oh, that, you mean their house?
Their house, but then it was bought by the Rhodes, so it was their house, Rhodes' house, yeah.
It's at the corner of like,
Cortland and Raymond, yeah.
We've been asked by the TV folks to speak up a little bit because they can't hear us.
Okay.
So,
all right, well, any other questions or discussion regarding this item? Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas.
Yes?
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. We now are on item C. Commissioner Moriarty.
Yes. I move to approve the purchase of an overhead 360-degree vehicle detection camera system from Electric Light Company for the Daniel Webster Highway Silver Drive signalized intersection in the amount of $22,180. Funding will be through Department 160 Admin Engineering. Fund Trust, account classification 71, equipment.
Yes.
So this is, you've heard about this before, these are the 360-degree cameras. This is the modern vehicle detection camera methodology that we use nowadays. Far preferable than to loops, which get damaged during utility work and whatnot. And some of the older camera detection systems we have are failing. So in this case, this one is proposed for Daniel Webster Highway Silver Drive intersection. This came about as part of redevelopment happening in Webster Square, where the developer was asked to make a contribution towards the corridor, the DW Highway Corridor Fund for this purpose. So what we're seeking is approval to basically expend those corridor funds on this purchase.
Anybody? Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes?
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. We're now on item D. Commissioner Pappas.
I'll move to consider a hardship request for Property Possible Inc. to excavate in East Holly Street, which has 4.4 years remaining in a 5-year moratorium to install water and sewer connection services.
Now, I believe the owner of the property has requested, to address us on this, but they may be on the remote. But first, Mr. Hudson.
Sure, I'll briefly introduce it. This is for redevelopment in Henry Hanger building, 88-unit residential development recently approved by the planning board in May. In order to make the improvements, they need to cut into East Hall Street 2 locations, one for a water service and one for a sewer service. So with that, I believe Michael Malinowski may be on the line, engineer for Allen and Major. I don't know if that's who wanted to speak to this.
Is there anybody on for possible property?
Yes, Mike LaFavor, I believe, is on the phone as well. This is Michael Malinowski from Allen and Major Associates.
Okay.
Yep, I'm on the phone. Michael LaFavor here.
All right, go ahead.
Well, this is Michael from Allen and Major. Mr. Hudson sort of outlined our project for us. We had recently received approval for the conversion of the Henry Hanger building to 88 residential units. And as part of that, we are in need of a fire suppression line, water service, and an upgraded sewer service, which we have shown on the plans in your packet. As part of the moratorium, we've made provisions on the contract drawings that were approved by the planning board to mill and overlay a section of East Hollis Street, 20 feet either side of our trench, which is customary for this work under a moratorium situation in both of those locations. And those were the plans that were approved by the planning board and reviewed by Mr. Hudson and his staff. I believe I also have Mike LaFavor from Possible Properties on the line as well, who would like to speak just about the project as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so so Michael LaFavor here at 243 Stonebridge Drive in Nashua, owner of Property Possible. So we had purchased this building on April 16th of 2021. Unbeknownst to all of us, everybody that we actually had spoken with, we all thought that the paving was supposed to happen this year, but apparently it had happened last year. A lot of traffic on that road, so for us, we couldn't really tell the difference. But yeah, so we had just purchased this property. This is detrimental to us being able to accommodate 88 units there. The existing water line and sewer line would not be enough capacity for the intended use that we have on the building. So that's our ultimate plan. We obviously plan on improving the building. We've got about $10 million going in there to the entire renovation. We believe in the project. We think it's going to add great value to the city and offer much needed housing units that the city desperately needs.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your comments. Do you have anyone else that wants to address the issue? If
Mr.
not,
Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to ask the builder when they anticipate having these units in line. And I just want to get a better understanding of the timing of the cut in the pavement.
So our projected completion date will be July of 2022. As for us actually cutting in, that would be something we'd be trying to get done prior to, usually the asphalt cutoff date of, November 15th, or sometimes they'll push it a little bit further. But we would be trying to get it done prior to, the shutdown date of 2021, as we'll be, requiring those main connections with interior renovations, throughout the winter.
Commissioner Tease, you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Moriarty.
Yeah, I was just wondering, of the 88 units, are they all market rate units or is there affordable housing units?
Those were approved by the board as market rate units.
And what are the size of the units?
So we have 45 two-bedroom units and we have 43 one-bedroom units. All of the units are only coming with one bathroom. Approximate square footage is right around from 500 square feet all the way up to about 900 to 1,000 square feet.
Okay. Any other comments? Commissioner Pappas.
I would just say 4.4 years remaining on the 5-year moratorium for heavy traffic area. I don't, you know, given that we had to bond for this, and this is not an emergency, I will not be supporting this. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any comments, questions? All right, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
No.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Schoneman,
No.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. All right, thank you very much for visiting us.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, the next item is item E. Commissioner Schoneman.
I move to consider a hardship request from Ross Common Investments LLC to excavate in West Glenwood Street, which has 1 year remaining in the 5-year moratorium to install a water hydrant.
Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is another application that was approved by the planning board in May, site development. This is for a vehicle storage lot associated with the Tully Automotive Group. In order to satisfy a request by the Nashville Fire Department, they need to install a new fire hydrant. That requires extending a water main from the end of West Glenwood Street. So the impact here is to just the end of West Glenwood Street, but that street is within the moratorium.
Okay, comments, questions? Commissioner Pappas.
So I'm normally not one who likes to approve these digging in unless a couple of things. First off, this has made it through 4 years of paving. So I think the more recently the street was paved, the more likely it is to hurt pavement. So given that it only has 1 year left, and given that they want to put in a fire hydrant, I will be supporting this.
I don't believe so.
Is there anyone else on the line who would like to address this?
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Chisholm. I'm a professional engineer with Keach Nordstrom Associates. We are the engineers and surveyors of record for the project. Basically,
I'm sorry that I didn't call on you before. I didn't realize we had.
No worries at all. No worries at all. So basically, as Dan mentioned, we're really just looking to impact a short area at the end of West Glenwood Street. During the permitting process, the fire department required a hydrant at that entrance. So really the only reasonable place to bring in water is from West Glenwood Street. We looked at reusing a service that was already there, but it's a residential service and obviously much smaller than what's needed for a hydrant. So it really is a need to service the hydrant properly to do that. What's good about it is at the end of West Glenwood. So most of that road will remain intact. And really, as you're driving up it, once this is all built, you'll see a change in pavement from what was done 4 years ago to what is going to be done this year, but it's going to be one smooth transition. It's not going to look like a patch or anything like that. It just is going to look like kind of an extension of the road, if you will. So it's pretty little impact, I believe, relative to the, obviously the fire safety and life safety positives that it brings. So I will leave it at that, but I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. So does anybody have any questions or comments, either from Mr. Chisholm or from Mr. Hudson, or any comments? Commissioner Schoenman.
I agree with Commissioner Pappas that this is one of those cases where it doesn't look like it's going to do an awful lot of damage, and it's not a high traffic area. So I would agree that it's probably a good thing to approve.
Anyone else? Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes?
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Schoenman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. We now have item F. Commissioner Tease.
I move to consider a hardship request to excavate Nash Street, which has 3.4 years remaining in the 5-year moratorium, to replace an electrical conduit to Los Amigos Park.
Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this was brought up in the public comment period, but there is currently no electric service in Los Amigos Park due to a broken conduit, which carries electric line from one side of the street to the other. This was broken as part of a sewer project that was undertaken, is my understanding. At the time, they knew they broke the conduit and they thought they repaired it, but apparently there was wires damaged inside as well, and now they're not able to pull those wires out or pull new wires to replace them. So something got missed somewhere in terms of ensuring that it was properly repaired. So we need to now go back and do that. And so what we're asking for is permission to dig across the street, replace this line, so we can replace that electrical line, and then restore the street in accordance with the ordinances under moratorium requirements.
Yeah, just to clarify this, we did not do this.
I don't know the details exactly. I believe it may have been a city contractor doing sewer work. I don't think this one was Pennachuck. I think there was both water and sewer work on that street. That's our best recollection. Collective recollection is that it was the sewer contractor that damaged it. And again, there was attempts made to repair it at the time, and for whatever reason, I think maybe somebody saw a conduit was repaired, but maybe didn't check the electric. I don't know what happened, but it's unfortunate, and to have to come back and repair it, but clearly we need to restore electric service to the park, so we're asking permission to do that.
Commissioner Pappas.
Is there any way we can get some money back? Can you charge, some fees? So number one, to have to do the work, and number two, for shortening the length of the road. I hope there was some, that's some attempt made to get the money back from the contractor.
So the challenging part with this one is that at the time, the contractor was asked to made the repair, and then park superintendent apparently reviewed the repair, said it was satisfactory, and then now we find out it wasn't. So like the time to address that, but that contractor would have been at that time. So it feels like we released them the responsibility because we kind of accepted the work that was done, unfortunately. So now I believe the thing to do is to make the repair. We can the city can make this repair and restore it to a good condition.
Commissioner Pappas.
Well, I would hope if we ever use that contractor in the future, that we might use this as a bargaining chip, because that's just, that's not right. And we might see who figures out whether this stuff gets fixed in the future, because it's the taxpayers that get stuck holding the bag. And I'm not happy about it to dig into a road that has 3.4 years remaining on the moratorium, but we don't have a choice, because obviously they need the electricity in the park. But I think we ought to take a look as, oh well, whatever that just happened. I think it's going to be a lot of money for the city. It's not fair, but I think it's not fair to deny it, because obviously the residents need to have electricity available. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, let's call the roll on item F.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Dodges.
Yes, motion passes. So that clears the way to restore the electric power to Los Amigos Park.
The road will be rougher.
We're used to that. We just want the lights back on here, our kids. Ashland's been rough for years.
All right, there's a block party Saturday, right?
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
The road will be
Very
rough.
close, we're
I'm
same
warning
street.
you, the road will be rough.
All right, item G, informational item. Not too controversial, so any questions or comments on that one? All right, we'll go on to item H, which was an issue that Commissioner Pappas had asked about. So why don't we ask Mr. Hudson to report on that, please?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to. So, as was noted at the last meeting, we were asked to review condition on Main Street with traffic backups. And the question posed was, should we be restricting no right turns on red from Canal to Main Street? As it was envisioned that maybe that's contributing to the backup. So Senior Traffic Engineer Wayne Husband went out and reviewed this situation, collected some observations, and then I did as well. I went out and observed the situation as well. And he and I both concluded that that the right turns on red are really not the primary contributing factor to the situation. What it is just the volume of traffic that northbound in the single lane at that intersection. We have reduced lanes due to outdoor dining, which is important for the businesses, but that is somewhat limiting the traffic flow through there. We did observe right turns on red. We didn't observe necessarily a high number, and during the period I was there, they didn't fill up the whole lane such that the throughs couldn't go. It's just that the turns coming off of Park and Water Street and Main Street northbound filled up the available space between the two intersections such that it backed up, which then continued to back up Main Street. When I drove through, it took me about 6 minutes to get from Tostados on Main Street through to the top of Library Hill. So, there is definitely delays occurring there. But if we were to restrict that right turn on red, it maybe would have a minimal benefit to Main Street northbound, but I think the side effect you would see if you have much longer queues on Canal Street, you would be unnecessarily delaying those people intending to turn right. So we wouldn't recommend that. What we are going to do is look to see if there's any timing adjustments in terms of splitting of the green time between Main Street and the side streets. Perhaps we should favor Main Street more to try to encourage more time for traffic to get through. In that scenario, less time would be given to Canal Street, which then would further emphasize the need for the continued right turns because they would get less green time. So letting them turn right on red would be more important. So those are our findings. It's not an official traffic study by by a consultant or anything like that, but that's what we were able to do in terms of assessing it and at least giving you our initial findings of the situation. And as I said, we will look to see if we can make adjustments to the timing to make things work a little bit better out there.
And do you know what the length of the entire cycle of that light is?
Not offhand. I know it. That's another thing we're going to look at. Usually, if you shorten the cycle length, so you turn it over quicker, the queue lengths are shorter, but you do get less overall capacity because of the red times and the yellow times. Longer cycle length, obviously people that are building there. The problem at that intersection really is northbound. It's not so much, I said the volume of traffic, it's not even so much that, it's just that you only have so much distance now in one lane for traffic to queue up, whereas normally they'd be side by side in 2 lanes queued up. So, you can, with 2 lanes, you can fit twice the traffic waiting at the signal between the intersections as you can under the current conditions. So those are our observations, and we'll continue continue to do what we can to try to improve things.
Commissioner Pappas?
So we had people drive Main Street or stand in the corner and observe, is that?
Yes, yes.
You know, I will say, the issue is people take the right-hand turn and they want to go take the left to get onto Amherst Street, and they block 2 lanes. I mean, maybe you didn't observe it when you were there, but that's what I've observed. And I will say, I wish Alderman O'Brien was here, because I just feel like we just plunk these things down. And I know that, it's under the Board of Aldermen, but people think it's public works. We just plunk these things down and say, let the chips fall as they may. And people are really getting irritated. And when we, I watched the infrastructure committee meeting, and, I think, the Alderman O'Brien thinks that people just block the intersection. Well, they do, because they get frustrated. And they say, well, they have the police educate people, and people don't stop at the, well, police should educate. We have no right turns on red until 7 p.m. most every side street, and that's not enforced. So I don't think it's not necessarily when people are going out on lights. And, I think that people do want to support the downtown businesses. I think they do want to support the downtown restaurants. And I think they're willing to do it this one more year because of COVID. But if they're talking about doing this 3 years down the road and just letting the chips fall where they may, I don't think that's any planning. I don't think that is municipal planning, and people are getting frustrated, and there's more businesses down there than just restaurants. And as I said, I think that people want to support the restaurants. They had a rough year last year, and even though they're now open at 100% capacity, I think that people understand that they really do need to, make up for some lost revenues. But I think you're going to see some real pushback if this is just, we just do the same thing next year and say, well, people need to be patient. Because otherwise, I think that other businesses downtown are gonna go belly up, because it would be like taking a UPS truck that's full of all kinds of packages and then trying to take that same number of packages and sticking them to a Ford Focus, and then figuring out why we can't get deliveries done. We may have a whole new board, coming up. I mean, we don't know what's happening, so I certainly hope that decisions aren't made until January, because I do think that people support the downtown restaurants. They're willing to put up with this for another year, I think. But beyond that, I think a lot of people have had enough. That's what I'm hearing. And I think we do need to hear people. I don't have a problem with it, because I just avoid it. It's not bad coming down. I just avoid it totally. I take the Broad Street Parkway. But if you want more traffic downtown, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. So I just think we really need to rethink this for next year. I think people are happy to put up with it again this year, because they do support the downtown businesses. But anyway, that's what I'm hearing. I just wanted to pass that on. Thank you.
All right, so, does anybody have any thoughts or questions on the right turn issue on Main Street? Anybody else? So you're gonna, Mr. Hudson, look at the timing and see if it might be advisable to give some more time to Main Street?
Correct, yep.
Okay. All right, you might get back to us on that. That would be helpful. Anyone else on this? Let's go then to administration. We have the director's report.
First slide, we said goodbye to Mike Harris last week, which was really tough. It's always a challenge when you have somebody in senior staff that leaves, because we've worked so closely together. Mike made a huge impact from the Main Street sidewalk project. He oversaw that, to the skate park, to snow operations, and just a great guy. Never complained. Was always there. Incredibly dependable. Great sense of humor. Always willing to chip in and do whatever needed to be done. So he also I will share with you, sent me an email. Couldn't tell me in person, but sent me an email after, which reduced me to tears, and that's tough to do. And so he's going to be greatly missed, and we wish him well his new job in Merrimack. So he's been here with us for 26 years. So. Next, we have a sewer main on Norwood Street at Coliseum Ave that was repaired to address a historic backup caused by a sag in the pipe. This was done as part of the city sewer rehabilitation program. This is sort of interesting. This was Main Street road restoration following a gas main installation by Liberty Utilities, and we found an old concrete road bed below the asphalt pavement surface near Kinsley Street. So that was kind of interesting to find. And as part of our 2021 paving program, on the left is Blackfoot Drive being reclaimed, and by our contractor, and also testing done by SW Cole on the right on Broadcrest Lane. On the next slide, again by our contractor, we had milling on Independence Drive and binder paving on Milan Street. And so as I'm sure you've noticed, there's a lot of paving going on. Durham Street on the left was reclaimed by Sunshine Paving, and Daytona Street was paved on June 10th. Durham Street on May 24th, Daytona on June 10th. This is what Engineer Hudson had referred to earlier. We are focusing on ADA ramps. There's a couple of ramps here that are being reconstructed, East Dunstable Road at Judith and Almont at Blanchard. We have all our spring flowers planted. You can see how the flowers have grown in just a short period of time from one picture to the next. Park and Rec has done a nice job. We finally have all of the fountains installed. There was some delay in getting them installed. We had some issues with the pumps and they needed to be repaired, and we had to send them out for repair, but they are now, both of the existing fountains are in, and we have a third new fountain on the east side of the bridge directly behind Peddler's Daughter. The street department has done some renovations at the tennis courts at Shady Lane. We've converted them to our ever-growing sport of pickleball here in Nashua. We are just now waiting for fencing, and then we will paint the courts. So hopefully that will happen soon. The traffic crews repaired a crossing signal damaged by motorists on Prospect Street. Another repair done to a traffic light that was damaged by a motorist on Harbor Ave. The crews repaired some guardrail that was damaged by a vehicle on Spickbrook Road. We have helped Economic Development and Great American Downtown install some wayfinding signs. These are on Concord Street on the left and on Broad Street on the right. Our street crews performed an emergency dig at 64 Dublin Ave to repair a broken and plugged sewer service. So we've been very busy. Street crews prepped and paved a section of sidewalk joining two other sections of sidewalk on the eastbound side of Amherst Street in the area of Blackstone Drive. Our mechanics installed a flatbed on a new 5500 truck for the street department, and also replaced some broken spring packs on truck 46, which is part of the rear suspension. Again, just to highlight some of the work the mechanics are doing, on the left is a weld repair on a standard mower, and on the right is a deck rebuild on a leaf back. Our gas collection work is near completion. The work included the installation of 8 vertical wells and also a line or drain tube along the entire well to help eliminate odors and emissions.
Did we ever get the, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
did we get the final paperwork from, for the new part of the landfill?
The permit?
Yeah.
No, we're working on it. It's an incredibly intensive
Phase 4, right?
Phase 4,
Right.
yeah, we're working on it now.
Any time since? No.
No, I don't know.
6 months, a year, we don't know.
I hope I'm hoping within 6 months to a year we have a permit, yes. It's incredibly, there's a lot to it, a lot of different aspects, but yes, hopefully within 6 months to a year. We've been meeting a lot with DES on it, so answering their questions. This is, Solid Waste just wants to remind everybody how to place their toters. The wheels should be against the curb or the shoulder of the road. The arrow should be pointing towards the road, and they should be at least 3 feet apart. The toter should be at least 3 feet apart and 10 feet away from fixed objects like telephone poles and cars and so on and so forth. And curbside collections for the 4th will be a normal schedule. There will not be any delays. So we will be on the observed day. We will be collecting trash. So there will be no
What day
delays.
is the observed day, the Friday or the Monday?
It's Monday. Yeah, Monday the 5th is the observed
Hope
day.
you
So we'll
post
be
that
picking.
all over the place.
We have, and we've been following that. On observed days, we pick trash, and we've been following that now for quite a few years. So hopefully people, yes, we
I
will
know,
be
we
posting
remember
it.
it.
I know.
I don't know if it's worth putting some of our signs up because.
I mean, that's a good idea. We could put it on the message boards. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do that. Yeah. Because people will just automatically think that, yeah. We'll do that. And that's it. Any questions?
Questions, comments for the commission, or for the director? All right.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
May I add one more thing?
Yeah,
I did want to thank you, Diane, for reminding me that the landfill will be closed, so, so that we will have collections, but the landfill and office will be closed
on Monday.
on Monday.
Okay. All right. We now have commissioners' comments. Any commissioners have comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Tees.
I apologize. I normally wouldn't ask this in this venue, but I just was wondering if selfishly, as I traverse Northeastern Boulevard many times a day, if we might have an update on the status of the finalization of that paving and so forth.
You wanna take that one?
Yeah, I unfortunately don't have any specific date or anything. I know that is underway and should be completed soon, is my understanding. But yeah, I don't have a specific date.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Let me just address our guests. You know, we've taken care of your item, and if you want to stay, there is going to be a non-public where you would have to leave. But if you want to stay, you're very welcome. But if you are staying just to be polite because you think, you know, you can definitely take off. I should have been, you know, there's no need for you to
We've
stay.
never been, so we didn't know what the formality
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
and-
yeah.
and you're right, we didn't want to be rude. so-
Yeah, well, it occurred to me that you were still here because you were afraid that
Yes.
you would be offended. We will not be offended.
Wait, are
We
they
don't
gonna
want-
disregard our vote? Can't, it already happened.
We're not offended if you want to go home.
We're gonna go. Thank you so very much. Have a good night, everyone, and thanks for inviting us. And. Or do I take it? Thank you.
Can I just get your last name again for the record? Can you spell that for me?
Benoit.
Right, ladies?
You can say it, Benoit or Benoit, but I didn't want to confuse you, so thank you.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
I didn't think of that. Hold on. Why are they still here? So,
I want to see Rudy.
What?
I want to see Rudy said something, to say something.
Yeah, they felt rude, I think, leaving.
all right, now on to personnel.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I have a commissioner's comment.
Oh, sorry, please go ahead.
Yes, just to inform my fellow commissioners, as you know, I sit on the pension board. And a matter came before our meeting that you should be aware of. I don't think it's been resolved, but as you know, we signed off on the AFSCME contract, and that involved 3 years, I think, retro pay. And there was an error in the payroll system in the city. And so the percent of the money that was supposed to go into the retirement fund for the public work employees did not. It went to the ASME employees. And I guess they've been asked to return that, and
It's a nightmare.
they feel it's a city problem, the city made the error, and they're not doing it. So I wanted you to know that. And I don't think, am I correct in?
I left your message.
Oh, you did?
They have so the money has not been returned yet, but they have, and this just happened, the Administrative Services Director called me yesterday. They have, ASME leadership has agreed that the membership needs to return the money.
Oh, wonderful.
So they are supposed to be, they're gonna pay it over a period of time, but they will be hopefully returning the money. So they have agreed.
Thank you. I was gonna say thank you so much because it's nice to hear. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right. It's the right thing to do, is to return
Yes.
money,
Yes.
obviously, because it affects the other employees. It's their retirement fund.
Right. Right. No, I appreciate that, Mr. Moyer.
All right, any other commissioners' comments? Commissioner Shulman.
I wanted to just briefly address the issue that we talked about before. We were really talking about the right turn on red, but we were also talking the related issue of the Jersey barriers downtown. And I completely get what Commissioner Pappas is saying, that people want to support those businesses. They realize they've had a hard time. We want to be on their side, etc. But yes, people are getting tired of it. There are plenty of people I know, myself included, that just won't go downtown anymore because it's a mess. It doesn't look nice. It's not nice parking down there, and I just don't feel super motivated to go down there and support those businesses because of the traffic, because of the Jersey barriers. We're at 100% capacity. Are they really necessary? That's my thought. I know that we'll probably, extend it out to November, just as usual, but my personal feeling is that they're not great. It would be better, I think, to get rid of them. And the other thing, we debated whether to comment on this or not. It may seem trivial, but there's sidewalk replacement being done on my street by the streets department. And I have a 5-year-old, almost 5-year-old son who repeats everything he hears, everything. And the language, I can't let him go out by our house. The language of the workers working on the street, on that sidewalk, has been horrifying. F-words flying.
Wow. Okay.
And, I don't want to have to explain to my son what that word means and why he's not allowed to say it. Anyway, I know it seems trivial. I know you're not their mother.
It isn't. No, it isn't
You're
trivial.
not responsible
I'll definitely
for
speak with them.
language,
Nobody's
but
ever mentioned that to me.
They're
before,
professionals.
so,
We pay
Yeah.
a lot of money
That's not acceptable.
for them to be doing this job.
What street was this?
Webster Street.
On Webster.
Yeah, I saw the sidewalk. I didn't hear the language, but yes.
Yeah. So
I'll thank you for letting me know. I'll definitely talk to them about that. That's not acceptable.
my son is super interested in all the diggers and everything like that. But like, oh no, cover your ears. We're not going out there. So
Yeah.
One of my grandsons is about your son's age, Isaac, right? He's totally into those machines and all these projects.
Yeah.
And it would get repeated like either at church or from one of their mothers.
It would be absolutely. Yes. Yes. Well, he probably thinks that those men are cool, right? Because of the work they're doing. So he probably would like to mimic them too. So yeah, that's not okay.
I'm glad the sidewalks are being done. They need it badly.
Yeah. No, thank you for letting me know. I'll address that.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Tees.
Thank you. I will, I'm pro-business. We were an economic first responder as a bank in providing PPP funds, and certainly witnessed firsthand, some of the businesses that saw their doors almost close overnight because of the pandemic. So I'm a big fan of supporting businesses and the restaurants in particular. But I kind of echo what Commissioners Pappas and Shoneman said earlier. In terms of, I think we need to have a solid plan. I personally enjoy outdoor dining, but I think in many instances, some of the restaurants, we gave them an inch and they took 25 yards, and they have double the capacity outside than they actually do in their building. So I just want to ensure that we do have some mindful discussion of a plan so we can both have enjoyable outdoor dining and have passable streets by both pedestrians and vehicles. Thank you.
Any other commissioners' comments? All right, let's then go to personnel, item A. Commissioner Moriarty.
Yes, I move to accept the retirement of Ed Jackson, Mechanic 1, effective July 16, 2021.
Yes.
If not, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes, motion passes. We now have item B. Commissioner Pappas.
I'll move to accept the retirement of Mike Harris, Division Operations Manager, effective June 18th, 2021.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
We now have item C, which is a non-public session, a personnel item.
I move. Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Tease.
I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91A3, 2, subsection B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
All right. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. So we will now go into non-public session. And I don't know who's doing Jeff, it looks like Jeff is doing the TV.
Guys, give me 1 minute here.
Hello, this is to confirm we're off.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back on. I'm back on.
Okay, is that good? Oh, are we live now?
Yes.
All right, we're back in public session. Commissioner Tease.
I move by roll call to seal the minutes of the Board of Public Works Personnel non-public meeting of of June 24th, 2021, until such time as the majority of the board votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would no longer be served.
Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes, motion passes. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Tease has made the motion to adjourn. Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes, and the meeting of the Board of Public Works, June 24th is adjourned.
Have a good night. Have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July.
All right,
Same to
happy
you.
4th of July.